Jannine Jackson's from Frontier Services and is our guest today. I'm delighted that you're here again to join us, Jannine.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here.
I asked the question earlier in the show about the importance of farmers and people, or shall we call them people who work on the land, because there are many all year round. How hard is it for people like that?
Look, at the moment, the Australian environment is experiencing stuff that we haven't experienced for a long time. So the drought, there are farms that are probably in their 6th or 7th year of continuous drought, and it's probably worse than the millennial drought. It's not just drought that's affecting them. There's floods, fires. We're sort of seeing some stuff at unprecedented rates.
And it's very easy to, when you talk about 6 or 7 years, it's very easy to focus on it. If there's a big news story, the ABC or Channel 9 or whoever are putting a story out tonight, and that, so therefore it's there. Everybody has a whip round, they do things, and that's the end of the story. But it's not, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I don't know many people who would be able to survive from a small business perspective without any input for 6 or 7 years, or to be able to produce anything for 6 or 7 years, regardless of how good a farmer you actually are. And it will be the end of the drought where they will actually really financially struggle.
And as Christian people, really, droughts are a very biblical thing. When I think of the Old Testament, that they had floods, but they also had droughts. And so it's quite natural for us to want to be concerned about people, isn't it?
And these are real people, and real people struggling, not just to make a living, but also when times are tough is when they're actually really busy and become even more socially isolated than when times are good.
Jannine, you were telling me earlier that you've got something like 14 chaplaincy teams around Australia that go out and they have a big circuit, as it were, don't they, of places that they go to. Tell us about some of those.
Look, we're really blessed. We've got the most incredible people as bush chaplains out doing visits to graziers and people that live in remote Australia. And it's amazing the difference, you know, turning up on the doorstep at the right time makes to people that are really feeling cut off or socially isolated. And they can spend weeks at a time going from property to call in and see how people are doing.
And sometimes people live so far from the next person, don't they?
It can take 20 minutes to get from one door to the next. And, you know, people in the city, I don't think, kind of realise how big those distances can actually be.
How important is it that in Australia that we actually get a handle on this properly as a country?
I think we've become really disconnected from where our food comes from. As you know, we live in a 24/7 environment, and we expect things to be, I mean, menu log and all sorts of things, apps that I can get my food delivered. I think we've become a little bit disconnected from where our food actually comes from and what's involved in actually producing it. And on the other side, those people that are producing it are feeling disconnected from those in Metro because they don't understand the struggles that they're actually going through.
How do these people, if they're Christian people, and there are so many hours where they can get to a church, how do they, is the chaplains, is there a spiritual context to those?
Oh, absolutely there is. Church is done in a very different way often. The pub at times becomes the church, and the congregations are smaller or different, but very much a spiritual place. And I can tell you, if you stand in the middle of the outback, you can feel his presence.
And tell me what you get out of the work, because I always like to ask people who are involved in Christian agencies and organisations, what do you get out of it?
An incredible life affirmation. There is nothing, I don't think there's anything better for the soul than knowing that you're helping, or just the fact that you're actually making a difference to somebody by being there. Just the fact that we're showing up and showing that we care can mean the difference to somebody today and tomorrow. That's what it's all about.
And this isn't all government money, is it? It requires people to be engaged as individuals, as families and churches.
Look, we don't get any government money. It is pretty much the generosity of the Uniting Church congregations and individuals that fund this incredible work. And we have an army of incredible volunteers that also give up their time and talents to help those that are struggling as well.
Well, thanks for giving us an update on it. Thanks for giving us that insight into the fact that, what is it that really energises you?
I love what I do. I love the fact that I have the opportunity to work for an organisation like Frontier Services that is spreading the love through real practical ways and reaching out to people, and that human connection and actually really showing that we care. I think for me, we lose a little bit of that with technology, and there is nothing that beats that face-to-face sit down over a cuppa to really show that you actually care about someone.